All right, we're back on NFL Now. What a day yesterday was at the trade deadline. We counted 12 trades at the deadline, which is the most in 30 years. Some people might argue we should even push the trade deadline back. Let's go under the hood now. PFF, Pro Football Focus, what these trades mean for these teams. Trevor Sikkema from the It's Just Football podcast and the NFL Stock Exchange joins us. Trevor, it's great to see you. I was a little bit critical of the Chase Claypool trade. Don't like the compensation. I know the Packers were in it, but let's be positive here. What do you think Claypool does for the Bears offensively?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, first of all, when you look at the trade, they probably took a look into the free agency market that's going to be upcoming and probably the draft market as well. Probably didn't love what they saw, given a lot of extensions that went to DK Metcalf and Deebo Samuel, A.J. Brown, all those guys. And so you make a trade, you make a move for Chase Claypool. And the reason why they wanted to do it, I think first and foremost, they want to be able to move Darnell Mooney around, put him in really advantageous situations. You get two guys who this year, Mooney and Claypool, both of them playing more than 50% of their snaps from the slot. You're hoping with that kind of versatility, they could play inside and out with both of these guys. But another thing with Claypool, and this is the risk part of the trade, they're hoping that the 6'4", 240-pound receiver can be more physical than he has been. That's the profile that they're going after. And yet the contested catch rate for Chase Claypool throughout his career, he gets a lot of targets that are contested, but the contested catch rate just at 40%. You want that higher for a guy who's a bigger body, and I think that that's what the Chicago Bears are looking for. So the risk of this trade, really the value that comes back for the deal would be, can he be that kind of a receiver more than he has at this point in his career? That's the questions we're going to answer.
And I hear you about next March. Really, it's Jacoby Myers and, I mean, who else comes free? It's not a very long list at potential free agent wide receiver here. All right, Bradley Chubb. Very good defense in Denver. Very bad defense, EPA, all that in Miami. What does he bring to the Dolphins?
Ultimately, I think the Dolphins want to change the way that they've done things to this point. Not totally, but they've called the 5th most blitzes in the NFL. I believe that they believe they've got to send extra resources to get pressure on the quarterback. When you look at rushing just 3 or 4 players, they are 17th in the NFL when it comes to total pressures. They want to get better up front. They want to get better when they're rushing 3 or 4 guys to be able to get home, because I think they're taking a peek at the Buffalo Bills and the blueprint that they have laid of, hey, if we can win with 4 up front, look at all the different things that we can do in coverage. That's how you best some of these top quarterbacks in the NFL. And with Miami making this playoff push, with their winning window being open, that's what they want to do here. They got Bradley Chubb in to pair him with guys like Emmanuel Ogbah, with guys like Jalen Phillips, Christian Wilkins, to get home with 4, maybe not blitz as much, yet still affect the quarterback. That was the total point of this move.
Lions GM Brad Holmes said moments ago that they would have traded TJ Hawkinson for this deal, for this compensation, whether they were 1-6 or 6-1, which I find hard to believe. But from a Vikings perspective, Trevor, what are they getting?
Yeah, I don't know if I totally believe that. If they were more in contention, I don't know if they'd have been dealing Hawkinson. But for the Vikings, it's a fantastic trade. Look, you look at Kirk Cousins. He's a guy that is like to operate with tight ends, likes to target tight ends. But when you look at his EPA per pass over the last 5 years, this is the first time that he has a negative EPA per pass when targeting tight ends. His yards per attempt going to tight ends is also its lowest. And so that's why you go out and get a guy like this. The Vikings want to get the tight end position a little more involved. They just haven't had a good return on investment. Now for TJ Hawkinson, he's been more boom or bust than you've wanted a former number 8 overall pick to be. But that's okay for Minnesota. It probably wasn't okay for the Lions and what they wanted to get out of him, but it is okay for Minnesota. I think it's a perfect complement for what they're looking for. Hawkinson still has 8 explosive plays of 15 yards or more this year, which is top 10 for the position. His yards per reception, also top 10. In fact, it's 2nd in the NFL for the position. So that's the kind of guy they wanted to get. They wanted to get a chunk play, big play guy at the tight end position, and I think Hawkinson can fill that role.
And yeah, I mean, look, they're getting a weapon here and they're making a playoff push, and the Lions are not. And that's why you do the pick swap, and that's why they make the trade here. This is Trevor Sikkema from the NFL Stock Exchange and the It's Just Football podcast. And EPA, for those who don't know, expected points added. For those who don't speak PFF, just explaining. Love you, Trevor.